Hello and welcome to everyone that is joining us today for the new learning series, Whiteboard Chat. Welcome to everyone who's joining live and welcome to everyone that is watching this recording. Without much further ado, I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. Just a reminder, I am Tricia Lewis from the Richland School District in Richland Center, Wisconsin, and I'm glad to be sharing with this about you today. For those that are joining live, feel free to put questions in the chat. If you are watching the recording, remember that you can always follow up with me afterwards with an email, and I would be glad to answer your questions. Okay, so let's get rolling into this. So we're going to be talking about Whiteboard Chat today. So this is a gigantic tool. And that kind of just sounded weird the way I said that. I said it with the bestest intentions. Let's try that again. This is a gigantic, enormous, wonderful tool that you can use in your classroom, not just a gigantic tool. So today we could probably spend like 3 hours looking at some of these things instead of just 30 minutes. So these are going to be some very broad strokes about what Whiteboard Chat is all about. But I just wanted to make sure that you knew about the tool, that it was out there. For one thing, a couple things right off the header, Whiteboard Chat is device agnostic, so you can use it anywhere on any device. And it is a completely free tool at this time. So if you want to use something, you can use Whiteboard Chat. You don't have to sign up with an account. We'll talk about that later. Your students don't ever have to sign up with an account. So that's one good thing about it. And it's just got a lot to it. So let's learn a little bit more about it. So the first thing that you want to know is how can you get to use this tool? Well, there are a couple different links in order to get there. If you just want to get to Whiteboard Chat and use it, you can go to the top URL, whiteboard.chat. And now if you look at the bottom of the screen, there's actually a different URL because this will enable you to go to Whiteboard Chat, except it will not have the video chat tools in with it. And sometimes we don't necessarily need to have those video chat tools. So we want to make sure that if you just want to start that and not have that available for any user, you can just use wb.whiteboardchat. All right. So that's just a couple different ways, get you kind of to the same thing, except one doesn't have the video chat tools. All right, when you get to Whiteboard Chat, you're going to be presented with this, and I'm going to be going live here in a moment, but I want to make sure that I have this in the slide deck because you're going to get this slide deck as part of being at this session today. And the reason why I wanted to send out the slide deck is because it's going to be able to be like a refresher tool for you to remind you about what are those different things involved. Also, if you want to be able to share this slide deck out, it's this web version. So if you want to be able to share it with other teachers in your building or in your area, you're more than welcome to as well. So when you get to Whiteboard Chat, you have a couple different options. You can start teaching, which means you can create, assign, and live teach individual student boards. So kind of like, in a way, it would make a copy for each student, all right? If you just choose start collaborating, you're going to get one board and multiple people can collaborate on the same board. So there's a couple different options in what you can do with that. Manage boards, of course, that's where you can get to all your boards if you decide to sign in with an account to keep track of your boards. And the classroom code, I'll show you where that is at as well. So what else is in Whiteboard Chat? Well, I have this here in the slide deck just so that we can refer to it of what all the different tools are in the teaching board. Remember when I said you started, you had a couple different options. You had start teaching and start collaborating. So I took a nice screenshot of the Whiteboard Chat here and then annotated to what all the tools are on each area here. Okay. So we just have our undo, redo. We can have our zoom level. We have the name of our board. All sorts of tools hidden right here. Your freeze option, palette. I'll go into a lot of these more. Your account information, settings, the more menu's got stuff in there. We have some tabs in the corner. We can do polling. We can do that video call if we decide to have that in there. And then if you want to invite students to your board, you can use this tab or this code is over here. So remember when I said we first started, we would get to the page, we would get to the page that looks like this. So if anybody just went to whiteboard.chat, you had the classroom code, that's where that code is at. And then of course they have this handy dandy little link right here so that you can get to it and be able to share that out. Okay, so that's really cool. Down in the corner of the panel here, you can change your display name. So I just have my handle in there right now, but if you want to change it to, I would have it Miss Lewis, or however you want to. Your pen type, if you want it to be solid or dash, your pen opacity. So if you want it to be a solid marker, or you can make it like a highlighter, text size. When you're in the teaching board mode, you can actually see all the student boards at the same time and then be able to call on a student and bring their board to the fore to share with your classroom as well. Hugely powerful tool so that you can actually see the work that's going on all the boards and then be able to go and like visit that board so that you could like visit that student. And this can be in person or remotely, of course, and then be able to offer them chat and assistance on whatever they're doing for your classroom. We have down in that corner there the sidebar. That's that little thing that looks like the picture with the lines. And then your pages on the board. So your board can extend up and down, but there's also pages that you can have in there as well. The side panel tools, we're going to take a look at every tool that's here just so you know what the name of it is. When we first started, I said there was a difference between the teaching board and the collaborating board. So what is the main difference? The main difference, of course, is that we don't have the polling tools because that's something for individual right there. And if we go into that collaborating board, we have a few less symbols up here just because we're all going to be on the same board versus being a one board for every student. And then also what is missing is this menu down at the bottom. I'm going to let my tools go away. That you can see down in the bottom left corner. Remember how I said grid view so that you can see all the students' boards at once? Versus if you're in that collaborating board where you're all on the same board, you do not have that option in the bottom. So that's the difference between the teaching board and the collaborating board when you first start up. Now you're thinking already, oh my gosh, we're like 6 minutes into this and this is already a huge amount of stuff. It is, and I will probably remind you that again. This is a huge, huge, huge tool that you can use. And remember, I'm saying that with the kindness of hearts. It is a huge tool to be able to use. Would I say that you could learn this in this half-an-hour session? No, because I've been playing around with it for the last 3 months and I'm still learning more about it. And it improves and it changes almost on a daily basis of some options that can come in there. So that's kind of a blessing and a curse depending on which way you look at it. When we go into the board here, I'm just going to briefly go over these slides and then I'm going to make sure that I go back and check some of these things out for you. Okay, so the palette options. When we were in this upper corner here where this palette is at, of course you can change the color. But there's all these palette objects and this is the menu and I had to take a second column because it actually goes down that far. And what am I talking about palette objects? Well, let's just see. I have a live board here that I can be able to get into. And if I go into those palette objects over here, here's all this menu here. Amazing amount of things that you could bring in and use to manipulate on the board. Now, I am seeing this whiteboard chat as a very close competitor to some of our smart notebook tools or Promethean tools or Viewboard, some of those things that we might have had to pay for in the past. And right now, this is all completely free. I am just using this on my PC with a mouse. But imagine that you could use this on an interactive board and be able to use all these manipulatives, even without sharing it to the students if you didn't want to. If you want them to all be focused on one board, you have all of this stuff here. Or in your remote sessions. Or if you're recording a video for one of your remote sessions, you have these things in here. So what do you have? Okay, if I go into the manipulatives menu, we have all of our counting blocks in there. We have rulers. We have shapes, 10 frames. Oh my gosh, number lines, all sorts of things, fractions, everything that we could ever want in there. Now that is just in that first Manipulatives menu, all of those items. So I could go into another thing and bring in other, I could bring in 3D shapes. We have these little reward icons that we can bring in here. One thing that I thought is really, really awesome, that is something that I always hear teachers ask me about, money. When you're teaching money to students, to have these manipulatives be able to bring in for students to use. So we can even bring in heads or tails on these coins here. And on our bills, we just get the front side of the bill. So if I just click this in here, I get that image and I can place it in. I can be able to move it around, make sure that I have my selector tool here. Oops. It's my move tool, and I'll be going over these. And I can resize it if I want to, make it bigger, however I want to do it. I can also infinite clone it if you're from the Smart Notebook family. We have all of that in there as well. Just an amazing amount of stuff going on, okay? So I'm just going to come back out and take this out. And let's see. Now let me get this out of here. And let me go ahead and clear my board. Okay. Now I could go even further with the amount of manipulatives in here, but there are a ton. And there's a ton under each category. So just know that if you're looking for something, you probably can find it in there. So where are we at? Those were our palette objects. Remember I said this is going to be the briefest of overview of what Whiteboard Chat is all about. Our side panel. Oh, wow. What a lot of different tools on our side panel here as well. The reason why I will be giving you the link to this slide deck is that I made each of these clickable so that you could learn more about it on each page. So if we wanted to learn about the download, we could go ahead and click on download and see what it is, see what this is about here. And then if we wanted to get back to the same menu, I'll have to fix this so that's not hidden there. You can be able to return back to that menu and be able to learn more, return, learn more. So that'll be in the slide deck. So you'll be able to get to this slide deck and not only use it for you, but if you want to share it with other teachers as well. So the side panel tools, let's take a look at each one of them. The refresh tool on the upper left here. Use this tool to refresh the page. I have to say that this tool is still kind of new and it's still a little bit glitchy at times. So if you need to, if something is not working quite right, or you need it to, you just want to kind of get that refresh, it's right inside there, the refresh tool. Especially when we come to another one of these tools on this left-hand panel, I will say why you want to use these two tools in tandem. So that's that first one, refresh. Manage boards. So if you do decide to sign up for an account, of course the free account, to use Whiteboard Chat with, you can actually save your boards. All right. So I made sure that I sent a message out to the developers of this and I asked about how long the boards are saved. Now, during our immediate closure time, and in fact, this was like before, months ago, they turned it off where it would delete the boards. All right. But I think eventually it's going to save for 2 weeks. I have mixed feelings about that personally, because if you create something and want to be able to maybe use it like next term or maybe next year, well, it could be gone because right now it says that they're going to save for 2 weeks. But that's want to make sure that you're having that active. Notice that it shows me that I have a board and when it's going to expire. Now this one says expiring February 24th, but I modified it March 2nd. So we have all these different things in there. I'm not quite sure on how all that works explicitly because of the way that they have the different options turn on and off. Just know you can save your boards and you can use them again. Would I count on being able to use them 2 years from now? Probably not, just not right now. Who's to say that feature won't change? But if I'm speaking right now today, I wouldn't count for that, just so you know that that's out there. Another tool on our left-hand panel, grids. So we're on our third one here. You can choose from a number of different grids to put in the background of your board. So if I go to this live option here that I'm in this board that I'm manipulating and I go to my grids, I can choose to put sheet music in the background. If I don't like that, I can clear the grid. I could choose dot painter, it says. So we can just put our own dots in the background. That's interesting. We're going to clear the grid. I'm going to refresh. And I might have to do that again. So I'm going to see this. I'm going to clear my board. So what else do we have in here? Coordinate plane, college line, handwriting, big grid versus grid. So grid looks like this, but big grid looks like that. So you have a number of different options that you can put those grids in the background. So that's the grid tool along the side. Home. What this will do is it returns to the main, like the main starting screen. So if you were to go to Whiteboard.chat to get that first screen that we were talking about, it would return to the start images. Let me just show you what that looks like again, just so you can see it. If you go to Whiteboard.chat, you're going to come to this main screen, and this is what they call the home screen. So if you choose to hit home over the left-hand side, you're going to get to this screen exactly like this. That's their home screen. Next tool along the left, clear. If you want to clear everything at your board. Why I would say you want to use this in tandem with refresh. Sometimes when you clear, it doesn't always want to clear everything on the board. So you clear, refresh, clear, kind of a couple of things that I still see that are a little bit glitchy. Again, a relatively new tool, and it's always being expanded upon, but just know that that option is there, that you can use both of those at once. Download. You can choose to download your board in pictures or PDF. And if you wanted to download the boards for your whole class, you could as well. And download report, haven't played with that yet. So that's just one more thing that I have to look at and make sure that I learn about. Manage book. So when you're managing your book, this is the book that we're talking about here. So we have boards or pages in your book. You can clear all pages, clear the student pages. You could delete a page. You can publish it to a community. So they're starting a community forum where if you have a board that you really did well, that you kind of set up, kind of like a seesaw activity. If you were into seesaw, that I kind of equated as that you can publish it to a community. Couple options that I haven't tried with is upload bingo and upload gameplay. I think this makes like a different bingo board for every kid, and then they can all play bingo if you call out the numbers. I haven't played with that one yet. You can export the board and of course import the board. So if you were worried about your board going away, maybe you'd want to choose to export your board and maybe save those like in Google Drive or locally or on a thumb drive, and then be able to import those boards again. So that's Manage Book menu. Again, a lot of options right there. When you bring in objects, you can also animate those objects. So if you have animation set on those objects, you can also, through this menu right here, you can pause and restart those animations. Something we won't even be able to touch today because this session's already 30 minutes and we're already 20 minutes in. Again, on the side here, add media. If you want to employ your webcam and be able to bring in a live photo, this is where you can do that. Just a quick demonstration of that. I'm going to go ahead and add a webcam photo right here. Make sure that you allow it in your security settings. I turned on my webcam, and I'm going to go ahead and bring that photo right into my board. So that's a really quick way to employ your webcam. Bring that in as well. I'm going to clear the board. All right. And you can also bring in audio and video from your webcam as well. So I just took a still image, but you could bring in that video and audio. Move and resize. All right, so that's when I was talking about that I brought in an object and I wanted to resize. Remember, I kind of did that with the money there. So if I go back into my palette and I bring in, let's bring in some chemistry things here. Oh, we could bring in the periodic table. Excellent. All right, so I've got the periodic table. I'm going to place that in there. But if I want to move and resize it, I'm going to click on it, and now I can get into that, and I can actually turn it. Let me get this tool out of my way. And now I can resize it as well so that it's not taking up my entire screen. So I can have that as reference on there as well. Remember, I'm just working on the first page of this book. We could add more pages down here too. So if I wanted the periodic table on one page, maybe just a part of the periodic table on another page, we could do that as well. Select tool, remember it kind of defaults back to your paint tool when you bring something in. So if you click bring something in and you're like, and you all of a sudden you get a line on your page. Oh, because it defaults back to the pen tool, which is kind of weird, but just know that it's there. That way you can get back into your select tool and be able to select an object. And remember how I talked about it can animate all sorts of things. You have the infinite cloner here. Students can clone, students can move. You can lock it. You can choose, you can add it to your palette to make it your favorite. I mean, so many things right there. So that's when that select tool, you get a whole nother menu of items to things to use as well. Now this tools menu, holy cow. Just inside that little wrench, this is where you can use more tools as well. We have lines, arrows, shapes. You can crop things in there. You can add sticky notes. Rich text versus text box. So if you were going to write a lot on your board, I would choose for the rich text box versus just a plain text box because you could do more. There's our infinite cloner. If we want to add links to something, we can show dice, and I'll show you that because that's pretty cool. We can insert a YouTube video. We can insert a website. So you can embed a site right on the page. That's pretty cool. Let me show you a couple of those tools really quick there. One was the dice tool. So if we show the dice, okay, let's show dice. Okay, it's not working here. That's interesting. Okay, well then we will do something else. Let's try another tool. Let me show you about embedding the website in there. So I'm just going to click, and then I'm going to put the URL in. And let's go to the web's hottest spot. So this is a good thing that I can be able to, let's go right here. So I can actually have that web page right inside. Oh, wrong URL. Weird. This is not working right. Let me try and refresh here. Remember how I said it was kind of glitchy? This is where you're kind of seeing some glitchy things. And of course, it's happening live while I'm trying to teach, but hey, that happens to all of us. Let's try that website one more time. Ooh, this is weird. It keeps going back to whiteboard.chat. So I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me just see if I can start a new board. That might do the trick because I want to show you how that works because it's really neat. Because that way, if you have students that want to read something off a board and you want them to react to it, you can have that in there. Let me show you one more time. Let's see if we add if that helps. Ah, there we go. I don't know if it was the new board or what, if it was adding the HTTPS, the secure site there. So I can actually put my website and interact with my website while I'm on the same board. So I don't have to go back and forth between the tabs. That's in those tools there. That was a website. We can add a compass. We have math tools. We have the pointer, student signals, calculators, tile factory, form factory, table factory. You can have that simple text box. You can actually write programs and do programming in there. Musical instruments, this rec and rec, like an abacus to bring up, and drop zone. Oh my gosh, we could, like I said, We could spend 3 hours probably just on these tools and learn about that. Just know that it's there. You can upload a file. Of course you can upload a file. So if I'm demonstrating this and I can upload a file, I can navigate to anywhere I want to on my computer to bring a file, but I also just had some ready to go here that I could bring this image in. So kind of harkening back to my old days of when I used to be a band teacher and playing state capitol. So I could bring that file in and then be able to draw on top as well. To me, I wish it would change to a pen tool so you knew that you were writing with a pen. Maybe that's an option that's coming. Otherwise, I just see this and I think it's a pointer and not the pen writing. Again, this is where you change your color down here in the corner as well. I'm going to go ahead and clear that board. What else do we got along that side? There's our draw tool. Like if you just want to click to get to the draw, that's what I did. If I need to erase stuff, this will bring up my eraser, of course. We also have a text tool here as well. And finally, down at the bottom, use your lasso select to select many objects at one time because you have that lasso select if you like working in any other programs. Now, I just went through that super fast, like getting really fast. And you probably can't even read this. That's why I'm including my slide deck in here. But these are all of the features that Whiteboard Chat has. The pink box are brand new. That pink box is brand new, maybe since for the last 2 weeks of what's come in there. Amazing amount of stuff going on in this tool. So if you're looking for anything, I know last week I talked about Google Jamboard. I love Jamboard, but if you're looking for more, you can have Whiteboard Chat. And in fact, talking about Whiteboard Chat, it is always updating and adding new features. Blessing and a curse. Blessing, because they are listening to educators, and there's a great Facebook group out there. If you have ideas, they listen to it, and within maybe an hours or minutes, they can enable that in there. Curse, because you are actually always learning new things and adding new things, and you might not remember everything. So like I said, blessing and a curse. You can see this image here. I actually screenshot that last night, as in March 2nd at 6:30 p.m., that they added in a jigsaw puzzle pieces. So I could bring in an image and it would cut it up into jigsaw pieces for you to be able to manipulate as well. So it is always updating. Blessing and a curse. And oh my goodness, it is 12:27, so we are 3 minutes out from the end. I see in the chat that someone asked a question, is there a page limit? I do not know that answer, Joelle. Make sure that, I'm gonna make sure that I follow up with that on there. Let me just take a quick screenshot so that I remember to do that. And I have your email address from when you signed up for the session, so I'll be able to follow that up and make sure that I answer that question. But thank you for being a part of this today. And if you did register for the session because you're here, you get a link to this slide deck. So you have all those explainers in there, a link to this recording so you can go back and look at it. And then if I had any other links, it'll be there as well. And I would ask you, you're also going to get this link in your email about doing a 3-question feedback form to help me and to learn and grow as a presenter. If you want to do it now, bit.ly/NLS feedback21. And like I said, absolutely only 3 questions, 2 of which are required. So it can even be a 2-question form. We have a couple minutes left. If you want to ask a question, thank you for the compliments in chat. I'm going to go ahead and close the recording as of right now, but I'm going to keep the Google Meet open. Thank you for joining us today on Whiteboard Chat. This recording is now closed.